Last week I wanted to get a project done on Wednesday, and I was off for the day, so I went over to my local Harbor Freight. It's about a mile from here, and they always have the welding table on display, and I've eyed it up a few times but just never could pull the trigger. Well, it was on sale for $79, and I thought, you know, this would definitely make the project I have to do today a much easier task. So I thought, let me go ahead and pick this up. Well, I got there and apparently they were completely out of them. So out of frustration, I went online to Northern to see if they had them locally, and they as well didn't have any locally. But I looked at the two online, I looked at the two reviews, and after contemplating for a little while, I decided to go ahead and get the Nomad, which is the same one that's carried by Eastwood, and had it drop shipped to my local Northern. I figured it'd get there in a day or two. And as a matter of fact, it did. It showed up on Friday and I went and picked it up. I put it together Friday night, and I had a few issues with it. I know that there was a lot of people that online have complained about the directions. I didn't find that so much to be an issue, but I'll show you exactly what was an issue. Well, after putting it together and realizing that not everything I needed was there and that I was gonna have to make another trip out, I went to the Home Depot that was literally a quarter of a mile away from Harbor Freight. At that point I thought, well, let me go by Harbor Freight and see if they actually got theirs in. And sure enough, they had one in stock, and I picked it up and decided to put it together and see if I had any issues with it. And so at this point I'm having to decide which one I'm going to keep and which one I'm going to return. Okay, so on the Nomad, it folds up and it's got these wheels, and you can pull on this handle back here and it will allow the entire system to fold up, and you can roll it around on the wheels. Well, in this kit, and they actually have it really laid out pretty well in this little plastic case, but they sent me 2 of these bolts, and they were supposed to have 4 of the bolts that are similar to this. So I had to run to Home Depot and pick up what comes out to be about $4 worth of screws. And the only reason it was $4 it'd probably be about $2 if I went to Ace, but the only thing they had in stock at the Home Depot was stainless. So rather than having to make a second trip, I just figured I'll spend the extra $2. And the other thing is, this does have wheels, but man, are they just cheap, cheesy molded plastic. That said, everything else on this seems to be of pretty good quality. Now this particular system is $149 online, and I guess sometimes they'll have like a 20% off coupon. I didn't have access to one. But some of the other things that this comes with that the Harbor Freight didn't was an adjustable mag spring clamp, which is useful, and a couple of mini magnets. Certainly not $70 worth of products to make up that difference, but there are a few other differences. Let me point those out. All right, this particular model happens to be adjustable. So you can see here, you got holes where you can adjust the height, which definitely could come in handy. You can see down here, these are the brackets for the wheels. One thing I wanted to point out, if you look here, you'll see that these 2 screws are flush and fit perfectly. The holes were drilled at some kind of funky angle, so the screws on this side did not go in smoothly. Hope you can get an idea there. And I don't know if that was just this particular one or if they all come like that. Now, these adjustment handles I actually like a lot better on this system. You've got a nut here with a milled surface so that when you're adjusting and changing the tilt of the table and screw this back in, it seems like a much better, more rigid system. Also, these brackets seem to be much thicker. I can get a caliper on that and check, but it's definitely heavier duty. And I think those are some of the major differences, things I wanted to point out. All right, on the Chicago Electric table, it doesn't have wheels. It is adjustable, and what they mean by adjustable, again, it's got the tabletop, this part tilts, and it's got 5 different positions, so flat, and it can tilt at various angles. And that's so you can adjust it like that. Also, both systems come with the edges that are adjustable. Which on some projects would be nice. And these guards can be moved from side to side, so you can have them the way I have it configured, or you can change it to the opposite positions. They all have threaded nuts welded to the back side of that plate. One of the other differences that you can see here is on this one, you've got essentially 4 slots. You got the top, the bottom, and then the middle one is split. On the Nomad, you've got essentially the same setup. Like I said before, I think that these adjustment handles are just a little bit better designed. I think these are a little bit nicer quality. I think these are stainless, or at least a different coating on them. It's hard to tell, but just by casually observing, they look very similar, and from the pictures, I thought, you know, these things might be made in the same factory by the same company, but there's no question that the Nomad is definitely a little bit heavier duty. It does have down here at the bottom, if you look here, that orange cap is a leveler, so you can turn it to get your workspace more level on an uneven surface. And the Chicago Electric, again, just 4 rubber caps on there. Other than that, I mean, they probably both will do the job just fine. One of the things that I didn't see anywhere in the paperwork about the Chicago Electric, and I thought that this would be an issue, I thought I was going to have to leave it set up all the time, but it is able to be folded up. And put away flat. And that was actually one of the selling points of the Nomad, and one of the things that's going to keep me from making a quick decision to go with the Nomad. I have to think about this a lot more. As I said before, these brackets seem like they're a little bit thinner than on the other system. And then here's what I mean by the washer system being a little bit cheesier on this. It's got, so basically what happens is this handle pinches down on this washer, which has just the ever slightest indentation on it to hold it in place in these holes. So while it's adequate and it is seeming to work, I don't know, it just seems a little bit, and the plastic in this handle seems a little chintzy. There you go, up close on this one. You can see, instead of a washer, you actually have a nut that's milled specifically for fitting in like this. And actually, every bit of it, screwing it in seems a little bit easier, quicker. And I don't know, at first I thought this orange was a little bit heavier duty plastic, but I think after seeing them both side by side, I actually think it's almost identical. But I guess ultimately you're gonna have to decide is having this nut here, having the adjustable legs here, having wheels, well, once I put them on wheels, are those features worth an additional 70 bucks? I'd say for most people, probably not.